All right, we are live. Thank you, everybody, for coming back to Proud Masculine Wednesday live stream. And here's the rub. Wait for a few people to get in. All right, I had to set something up on YouTube. Pardon stepping out. So tonight, as you know, as advertised, I had a very special guest scheduled for tonight. Rickey, a guy who was in prison when he was 15 years old, tried as an adult. And that's about all I'm going to tell you. Unfortunately, the very last minute, right about an hour ago, I'd gotten a pretty urgent text from him saying something pretty serious, personally, family related, came down the pipe. And we'll leave it at that. So it's unfortunate, but we wish our brother well. And I hope everything works out for him. He even asked if he still wanted me to have him come on tonight, and I insisted. Like, no way. You know, the guy's got some character and integrity, and he was actually going to come on, and I told him no, go take care of that business. What happened was really serious. I'm not going to talk about what. If he wants to tell you next week, he can talk about that. But it's a pretty urgent matter, and I would never deny anybody, or try to bend them over the barrel for having to go take care of something important, personal. This is my show. This is my stream. This is my brand. It's very important and dear to me. But I mean, look, it is what it is, and I would never condemn anyone for having to go be present for their family in a time of need. Anybody, for any reason, in any circumstance, by all means. So we wish him well. We'll say a little prayer for him tonight, and we'll see him next week. He'll be ready next week. Him and I were going to get on early to go over some of the parameters of the show. He's never done my show. We kind of linked up online behind the scenes, and I just love the guy's story. I like his energy. I love his message. And yeah, it's more from the ex-convict prison genre, but the underlying message and what this guy has is from his before, during, and after story is just it's inspiring and extremely entertaining. I can tell you that. Evening, gentlemen. Hope everything turns out right for Mr. Dye. Thank you, Henry. That's very kind of you to say, and I'm sure to work out. There's some things going on that are going on. Cage Beast. Yeah, I made it on. I don't know if you missed it, Cage Beast, but we're not going to have my guest on tonight, unfortunately. And if you want to know after the stream, you can go back and rewatch and get the explanation. But he'll be on next week. So we got an opportunity here. And you know, everything works out in God's timing for a reason. And maybe it's just a good opportunity to open up the chat tonight. There's a lot of stuff there's a lot of stuff to cover. You know, we can open the floor for anything, you know, dating, relationship, personal growth related. You can share some of your own stuff that's going on, and we can kind of bounce out as a topic. You could talk about any questions you have. Feel free to ask. You know, I'm going to open it up like that. Before we get started, I want to thank everybody again for coming in. Remember, if you go in the chat section or comment section on YouTube, you'll see the square with the dollar sign in the middle. I have Super Chat now. So you could actually do a Super Chat. And it's a good way to donate to the channel. And I will much appreciate it. I much appreciate anything you give in terms, even your time and your likes. You know, if that's all you can do, that's all you can do. But anything you do, you showing up here is contributing to developing and growing this channel, which over the next few months is going to begin to become more and more a priority. I'm not going to get too much into it, but it has to do with a business partner. And some other moves and change in direction here on the channel and my brand to be more present and more available. As you know, this is not my first source of income. The coaching that I do on the side, it's kind of like a side thing, but it's gotten to a point where I want to start shifting that into the primary focus. And because I love doing this, I truly believe this is a calling for me. I believe my life experience and everything I've been through, and where I'm at today, I believe I was put through these trials to be able to help young men avoid the pitfalls of growing up crazy as a young man. Not only what to do, but what not to do. It's so important that you embrace some kind of mentorship. Let's face it, a lot of homes these days are broken homes. I grew up in a single family home, single mom. And there's a lot of stuff I had to go out here and learn the hard way. Even families, no offense, guys, but with weak fathers. There's nobody there to tell you who you are, what's expected of you, and what you should expect of yourself as a man. There's certain things as the stages of life, no matter what society's narrative is right now, which is awful for men, because if you listen to society, it's ass backwards. It's and I'll tell you when they start the statement or the demand or the narrative with a real man does pop, pop, pop. Anytime somebody says that, well, real man, that's usually a shaming tactic. Women use that. Well, a real man takes the golf done. A real man does this. Don't fall for it. It's become such a diluted idea in society of this real man shit. And a young man who is uncertain of who he is and who he's supposed to be, who's been grown up, conditioned and brainwashed and led by society today, is not going to know that that's a ploy, that that's a shaming tactic and a total manipulation, because that's all it is. And so what we do on this channel, just according to how I live my life, is we're not going to say real man, we're just going to say men, because there are things that are expected of you. And let me tell you something. Some of the things, like they say, a real man's not afraid to express his feelings. Well, that's a little bit ambiguous. That's a lot ambiguous. So what do you mean by that? If you notice, what they're trying to do is get you to be a default woman, to break down your natural aggression, ambition, decision-making, confidence, direction, all these things that come naturally in the masculine character, and trying to be chipped away, because a weak man, an uncertain, unsure, insecure man is easily controlled and manipulated. So what they do is they use women, one of men's favorite things, women. They put these ideas and channels through women to now impart onto you. You get some hot chick you really like and say, you're not a real man if you can't cry, or if you want to do a little experiment, whoever's got a girlfriend out there or is meeting somebody, go complain to her how you had a rough day and all you felt like you wanted to do was cry because you're so stressed out. Test that reaction. Please report back on how that fucking train wreck went. I'd love to hear that. I really don't want you to do that, but I'm telling you, it's not a good look, and it's not going to work. You will be hated by society and women if you act like a woman. I'm not saying real men. Men do have feelings. We do. Everybody has emotions as human beings. Here's the kicker. Here's the difference, is that we can't afford to be led around, controlled, and make decisions based on our emotion, on how we feel. That's disastrous. This is how women behave. And you know what? Because they're women, they can do that. And you know what allows them to do it even more is having a strong man in their life where, where they can go through that and feel that and express that because that's what they need to do. And this is why, and I'm not saying all women are out to get you, okay? So we don't hate women over here. We do not. I love women. I love them for everything that they are because I know who they are. And there's no illusions here. There's no illusion of what a woman is. And we can get into that too. We're going to dive more into that stuff on the Patreon and, where we're not going to be censored and by YouTube trying to get me down an algorithm. I don't think I do well in that department anyway. We don't need to help them make it worse. So, but a woman's going to tell you from her purview what it is, how you should, because women automatically think that they just assume that everybody handles shit like they do. Solipsism. And that's their worldview, is that if you do what they do, your life will get better, or this will get better, or that will get better. And the fact is, this is not how you deal with emotion as a man. We have processes, different processes. I'm not saying don't feel it. I'm not saying if you have genuine anxiety or genuine sadness or genuine excitement that you shouldn't absolutely feel that and express that in some cases. But there's a time and a place and a direction you go in. This is why you build a tribe of strong men and you have a mentor role in some capacity, whether it's your father, if your dad's a strong stand-up dude, an uncle, a guy you work with. But you got to be really careful and selective, and especially online, because there's a lot of men out there running a grift that's running a con on this. They don't live how they say they do. They don't live how what they're telling you to do, they don't do it. They're here to prey on people's vulnerabilities, because that's when the people are the most vulnerable and willing to spend money on them. They got a guy out there, I forget his name, who screams at the people. He charges them like $4,000 and screams at them and calls them assholes and just takes their money and degrades them. It's insanity. But y'all motherfuckers know I don't do that. So I think it's easy to access internet pornography. Easy access to internet pornography has contributed to the weakness in a modern day man, especially since it can be accessed at a young age for many more modern guys. That's a great point, and it's very true. And that's what, like, they make porn out there easy. Porn, weed. You have estrogen and all these foods and all these quick dopamine hits, video games, social media. Everywhere you turn, there's a little dose of feel good real quick. And you kind of inevitably and unintentionally trap yourself in this little bubble of comfort. Why face the anxiety or the fear of going to be rejected by the hot chick standing on the other side of the room? And you can just sit home and beat your dick to porn. Now, they don't tell you the consequence of that and the long-term and impact, the damage it does to your brain, to your hormonal system, to your whole chemical makeup. Like, it drains you. It fucking warps your whole worldview. There's men coming out of their peak sexual years that cannot get their dicks hard because their system, their hormones and the endocrine system is all fucked up from associating to pleasure, sexual pleasure, that release and that dopamine hit, with watching another man pleasure a woman. Now, you've essentially sat in the front row seat and made yourself a cuck. You are, I'm not saying y'all, whoever's doing this, and I beg you to stop. We have a way to get through that here on this channel. And I've had my bout with porn years ago, and I felt dirty and ashamed every time I did it. But it becomes this, you need to seek that feeling again. There's a little bit of mystery and hiding. It's a little sneaky. You get to sneak off by yourself in a room and find, it's the whole ritual of it, like gives you the butterflies, and then you get to watch some chick get piped down by another dude. She's getting pleasure from another dude while you're watching. That warps a man's mind. That has the potential to permanently have a negative effect on you throughout your whole life. Most of the time, if you catch it and understand what happened and what it is, you're not going to go through that. And I didn't have it to where I was doing it multiple times a day. It was just, this is when porn first came out online. And I just couldn't believe how easy it was to look at. I heard from somebody at work, it's like, dude, you go to this site. It was, I can't even remember the name of the site. Sure enough, there it was, just like you said. And I did. Look at fucking this guy, Thor. Oh, man. Everybody. Thor, the legend. Skull, my Viking brother Joe, proud Mexican. Glad to see you, sir. And you as well, Thor. I'm not going to get in too deep. I called you one time. You returned my call. Didn't make it. I was reluctant to, I'm going to call you now. I'm a terrible friend. Not a good friend in some instances. I'm glad to see you stream. I'm glad to see you here, brother. I genuinely am. Really good to see you, and I hope you're doing well. So let's call in chat. Yes, let's not. I'll make it a point to call you. I will call you tomorrow, because when I get off of here, it's going to be too late for me. I promise you I'll call you tomorrow at some point. And if we don't connect right then, we will jump on. Great. Looking forward to it, brother. Look, stay in the chat if you want. Maybe you can help answer some questions. And look, guys, if you got any questions, this is one of the people that I sought counsel from, started out on this journey. This is, I'd already started. I've been in it for about a year. So about 6 years ago, I met this man. Not only has he changed my perception and many things in life to do with relationships, self, what it means to be masculine. This dude literally wrote a book about that. Literally. I'm not saying wrote the book like a figure of speech. He's literally written a book. He's an author. And he's much more than that. He's a great mentor for young men who's led his own group, has been a part of Rule Zero for the longest time. He's affiliated with many, many influential men in the space, in the men's help space. And I'm lucky, truly am lucky and blessed to have had counsel from him and develop a friendship. One of the realest, most genuine guys you'll ever meet. And when I say build a network, a tribe of men, this is the kind of man you want to meet and have in your tribe and your network. There was not one time when I was in shit that this man didn't answer the phone, no matter what. And he's been through some trying times these last few years. And he's never turned me down. He's always been there to listen to me. And sometimes, and you know how I know he's the real deal? Because he's had opportunities to tell me, oh, don't worry, it's going to be okay. You're great. No, he told me the fucking truth. And he told me shit I needed to hear. And it stung at first. I'm telling you. But he said it, and he meant it. And he said it from a place of love. And that was probably one of the most profound experiences that I had gone through to that point in life. And he was there to help me through it. He really was. And he never took it easy on me. He didn't give me the easy way out. He didn't let me skate by. He didn't coddle me. He told me exactly what the fuck I needed to hear. But do you know why? Because he'd been down that path. And he knew what got him through it and put him not only through it, but above in a better place, leveled up. And it worked out just like that for me. And I thank you, brother. Forever grateful. This man has had a huge impact on mine and many, many, many men's lives out there. Look him up if you don't believe me. Thank you, brother. Wow, that's a nice surprise drop in. If he's going to stick around, guys, and you have any questions, I'll be happy to turn over some of the answers to them. The gratitude is all mine, brother. Sincerely. Great guy. Bad motherfucker, too. See what kind of shape that guy's in? The dude's in his 60s. Well, late 50s. I'm sorry. All right, here we go. Carrying on. Thank you, Thor. It's great to see you, man. How did you cope growing up? Hold up. Yeah, okay. Definitely, dude. Definitely. I'd love to do that again. Matter of fact, I'm doing my show every Wednesday, 7:45 p.m. Tomorrow we'll talk about having you on as the headliner. I'm sure these guys could get a lot from you. And you have the gift for you being able to relate and get the young men. Definitely. We'll talk about that tomorrow on a call, for sure. Wow. What a surprise, huh? See, I told y'all, nothing in God's world happens by accident. It didn't work out with Rickey. Look at this. We got Thor came into the chat. Thank you. All right, back to the show. And I will have Thor on, and you'll get to see for yourself. We'll let his appearance do the talking. Because I could talk all night about the character and the caliber of man this guy is. Whew. How did you cope growing up without a father? And who are some of the men that influenced you? Great question. Now, when I was growing up, we didn't have, I didn't have YouTube. I didn't have the internet. I didn't have an outreach, like a digital outreach social circle. I was limited to where I'm from and the people who were in my life and in my general area. I grew up pretty poor. I didn't travel much. I didn't travel. I used to go to Mississippi, like an hour and something away to the little dirty beach over there. And I'm not complaining, but I was limited to family. And when I was growing up, society was much different. Like in my neighborhood, everybody knew me and I knew everybody from the first to the last house on my street and both sides of the street. Everybody knew me. There was not one adult I didn't know my first and last name. I could go into anybody's home. You know, they had elderly people, middle-aged people. Like if I was playing outside and Miss Bella used to keep cookies for me, cookies and Kool-Aid all the time for me, you know, and some of the other kids in the neighborhood. She lived like 5 houses away, Mr. George and Miss Bella. I'd go knock on the door and she'd, oh, come on in, get out this heat. I'm talking little kid, no shirt on, no shoes on. And just, it was like walking into my family's house. And Mr. George did dentures. He was a black market dentist for the mafia. No shit, for gangsters. And he had like an underground shop. It wasn't claimed by insurance, no doctors, no referrals, no nothing. He strictly used to take care of people who worked off the books. You know what I mean? Where I grew up, there was a lot of bookies, a lot of connected guys, loosely connected and stuff. And they'd all come see him. So she'd hang her head out the side door. George, Joe came to visit. He'd stop what he's doing. He'd come inside. How you doing, buddy? Sit down and eat a couple cookies with me. Sometimes I'd go in the shop and play with the teeth. He'd show me how to make my own mouth, cast my own mouth. I had it by my nightstand, my own set of ceramic, whatever, that plaster of Paris. And I had my teeth. He showed me how to do it. It was all jacked up, but I made it. And a couple houses from there was this guy, Mr. Bobby, and Miss Jean. And they had a son who was a couple years older than me and a daughter older than him. And Mr. Bobby was like a man's man, avid hunter and fisherman, tall, barrel-chested guy, always had a tan from fishing and could do anything with his hands. And like he was old school. And he was thirsty. Jeannie, get me a beer. Well, she'd come outside and he'd say, shut up, go inside. You know, he just didn't put up with any shit. And he'd let a woman know her place. And my mom hated him because I'd act like him. Don't come acting like Mr. Bobby. I don't want you going around there anymore. I love the guy. Now I see why. And guess what? Believe it or not, he had a happy marriage. Miss Jean loved the place. But same thing, they were like family to me. I used to get my ass kicked by their son. He was like 3-4 years older than me. He was just an aggressive motherfucker and used to beat my ass. One of the reasons I'm so damn tough, I was one of the youngest ones in my neighborhood. So, and then we used to watch WWE wrestling, and we'd do that shit to each other in grass. There wasn't any choreographed. Like when you got pile drived, you would get pile drived in the grass. You would literally hit your head. Like you pick you up by your feet upside down and put my head in between his legs and sit down. Boom. So, and then we also had, and of the times, me coming up was like the beginning of the end for the nuclear family. With a stay-at-home mom, pops went out and worked. You were just starting to see the collapse of the nuclear family. So they also had bad influences. And so when mom and dad got divorced, I was 9. And of course, my father was pretty much out of picture. I used to see him once a week. Sometimes my mom would let me see him. And because there's the whole child support thing, and she was a dog. She didn't let him. She'd had him thrown in jail. And sometimes he just couldn't come up with the money. He had his other broad. And she made it hell for him to see us. So there was really the only contact I had with him mostly was on the phone. But he wasn't in the greatest place either to even give me guidance. He was very critical. He was a motherfucking ball breaker, let me tell you. And a very angry guy. Me and him were at odds a lot. Like I loved him, still do. He's still alive. And we just, his parenting style is not conducive to a healthy self-esteem. I'll leave it at that. So, anyway, so you did have, outside of my grandfather, I had 3 grandpas. My mom's biological mother and father divorced. They were both remarried by the time I was born. So I just thought I had 3 sets of grandparents. I didn't even understand the concept of step people. It took me till about 6 or 7 years old to really wrap my head around that. I really assumed everybody had 3 sets of grandparents. And my step-grandfather, on my mom's side, I didn't see my dad's dad too often, and he was like the nice grandpa. He was a hard motherfucker with my dad and his brothers and sisters, but with the grandkids. But he didn't around. No real hands-on. No real, he was get the kids elsewhere, get them out of here. My real grandpa was a fucking man's man, country boy from central Louisiana. Grew up on a farm, crops, hunting, fishing, and he grew up in the Depression. So it was hard living, especially out in the country folk where you didn't even have the resources city people had. They had to create everything for themselves. But he had this, I don't know. I don't like the way my step grandmother handled him. Looking back, he'd kind of pander and cater to her. She was a nasty bitch. Nasty, nasty bitch. But I always had him for, like he showed me how to shoot, showed me how to hunt, showed me how to kill shit and clean it. He showed me a little bit about barbecuing. And then, my dad's dad never did any of that stuff anyway, so he didn't. Like I had he had guns for me to use when I was over by his house, when I'd go spend the days or weekends with him. And I was a little bitty skinny fucker too. 9, 10 years old with a 12 gauge, this long barrel over under 12 gauge that he had when he was a kid. This thing would kick like a fucking mule. But he'd put my little pouch of my shotgun shells. I had this little hip pouch, this ammo pouch, and he just cut me loose. He didn't care. He's like, go kill some shit. That's what I do. And I come home with everything I shot, and we clean it and eat it. And these people didn't waste anything. So if I shot a possum, we were eating possum. You had to eat it. That was a thing. A variety of birds that you normally don't even eat, but we ate them. So I had some influences like that. My step grandfather that my mom's mom married, my Papa Harold, Papa Black. Now, this dude had an impact, and he was a World War II veteran. He fought in the Pacific Theater, fought the Japanese. 2 years. This guy went overseas and killed people. 2 years flat, 2 years straight. Well, they had breaks in between campaigns because they were doing island hopping. Guadalcanal, New Solomon Islands, the Leyte, all these different Pacific theater battles, particular battles in the Pacific, Okinawa. Like, this dude was a stone killer. And I had no idea until I was older that he was that. And he wound up writing a memoir and showed me his pictures. I remember that's when me and him really, really, really bonded, because he was always my favorite grandpa. I didn't even realize he wasn't my grandpa at first. And my dad used to get so mad at that because he thought his dad should be my favorite grandpa. It's a little sample of how petty he was sometimes. So, and he used to, which looking back, even at a young age, he would tell me real important things that he knew wasn't going to stick with me. He knew it wasn't going to stick with me, and I wasn't going to internalize any of that right away at the age I was. I was way too young to even begin to absorb the complexity of the messages he was sending. He was also a 33rd degree Mason, very secretive guy. And as I got older, he started to impart some serious knowledge about masculinity in me. And this dude was like, he'd had shrapnel in him from a mortar in the Pacific Theater. He never got shot. Some of the stuff this man endured in his life. Also a child of depression. He was from Nebraska. And some of the stories he told me about his childhood and what he had to do. And it seems like that's the last generation of real solid masculine men, unapologetically manly men. I remember one time we were over there, and even into my young adult years, I always made time for my grandparents. And I go over there about once a week, and my grandma would cook dinner. We'd usually play cards or watch a movie. They loved to play cards, and we'd, watch a movie. And I remember I'd proposed to my wife. I was 23, and I went over there and told them the great news. Like, oh, congratulations. And my grandma said something about, you got to stop messing with all those other girls. My grandpa, she's standing right next to me. He's like, bullshit. So men are not meant to be with one woman. She didn't say shit. She just kept on about her business. Like, so way them dudes were back then. He said, you're the king of your castle. You run the household. You make the decisions. And he said, you only answer to one person, and that's God. The children belong to her. You belong to God, and she belongs to you. And, some of the stuff, that's just one little tidbit. But there was some information that stuck with me for a lifetime. Obviously at work. But then, I was blue collar. So there was a bunch of dysfunction. A lot of fucking beta male, blue-pilled, bitch ass men. Ooh, I'm getting lucky tonight. I did the whole yard, and I painted the garage, and I'm getting some tonight. I'm getting lucky tonight. Like, get that shit out of here. Now, back then, I didn't know any better. That's just the way the people that I surrounded myself with, that was the culture I was in. It's the way these men behaved. And so, everybody thought that was normal. Like, that's what you did. You get a wife, you quit fucking regularly. She starts nagging. You stop listening. Y'all both grow apart, but you're not going to leave each other. You raise kids. Like, that's the sick fucking shit that would grew up. And that was the dysfunction that separated us, that began the toxic cycle of our culture. In my age, like now, y'all got some bad shit with the guys should stay at home and men can have babies and what is a woman shit. Keep that. I'll take my little bit of dysfunction anyway because I outgrew it eventually. And it's just some things that I sensed as a man, like something just didn't add up. Like this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't feel right. And I would notice these times when there would be a paradigm shift, a bit of a paradigm shift. I'd see the results and I'm like, well, all I did there was I went forward on instinct. I had gotten no direction. I didn't learn that from anybody. That was instinctual, an instinctual reaction. And it worked out good. It was a favorable outcome. So that's how I knew. And I always had this underlying thing about people lying about, what a marriage, what a happy family really looks like. And they'd always tell you happy wife, happy life. That's propaganda. Happy wife will never be satisfied. You'll live a miserable life. If you're prioritizing your woman's happiness, you're going to have a disgusting, miserable life, and she will lose respect for you and either leave you or go fuck somebody else or both. Don't buy into that shit. That's bullshit. The people in my life are the happiest. The people in my life are at their most happy and benefit the most from me when I'm happy. When I'm taking care of my business, when I'm putting me first, everybody benefits. And that's how it should be. You're the man, you're the leader. You're the one to be looked up to lead. And if your shit's all off and you out of center and you got no purpose, and your only purpose is trying to make this unpleasable person pleased, just don't do it like that. And I'm not going to get too deep into that and in the mentals of why that doesn't ever work. A woman will never respect you for putting her in the center of your life. Never. They might fuss. You're selfish. Yeah. So what? They're always going to try to get in there. That's their job, to try to break you down a little bit. It's your job to maintain the position, to be the mountain. I did a video on it, so watch it. So anyway, I know this is long-winded, Henry, but I'm getting to it. There was one guy who I met when I was 18. I'd gotten some big trouble when I was 18. I was looking at prison. Long story. And this guy I knew who knew a guy who knew a guy came and got me out. And there were some conditions. Because he paid a lot of money to hire me a lawyer and get me out. I was in big trouble. And one of the conditions was I get a job, I pay him every week. It took about 2.5 years to pay him off. And I didn't miss a week. Because he said, if I got to ask you one weekend, one time, I'm going to break your arm. And he meant it. So I never tested it. And if you knew the guy, you probably wouldn't test it either. Especially I was 18. And I was more, and it was somebody I had met through somebody else. It just turned out to be a special fixture in my life who I'll always be grateful for. And, he didn't have to come get me out of jail. And if it wasn't for him and his influence, I would have done, they were looking to put me in prison for 30 years. 30 years in federal prison. So he got me a job at this meatpacking company. And I got hired on as a truck driver. Well, you did shop work in the morning, pull orders, do shop work, help. Sometimes you had to make ground meat. Sometimes you had to cut pork chops or quarter up or eighth chickens on a saw. But after all the orders were filled and all the stuff was made, they loaded up these box trucks and you drove the trucks to the different places. And he had this old black guy named Milton Anderson, who was my trainer. And this dude was a stone cold pimp. Everywhere we went, he knew women and they knew him. This dude had kids all over the country. Everywhere he went, he had a girlfriend. Every stop we went to, every different route that was throughout the greater New Orleans area, through the middle of New Orleans, uptown, downtown, French Quarter, New Orleans East, on the outskirts, in Jefferson Parish and Kenner and Metairie, and even some further out places, all through St. Bernard Parish where I lived and grew up. And this dude had chicks all over. this dude had a mouthpiece on him, and he just had this personality, and he had this confidence in his aura about him. And he was the beginnings of red pilling me. He was the first guy. I didn't know what was going on at the time. Look, I was only 18, and I'd never met anybody like this before in my life. A player, like a true to real player. So he kind of took me under his wing. We became very, very close. He'd come pick me up. We'd go to Tipitina's. We'd go out. He'd take me to the black neighborhoods, and we'd go to barbecues. And he kind of taught me how to spit game, what to say, what to do, all about. He taught me a lot about women's true nature, the highly sexual side of women. And there was a lot of truth that I did not believe, and he wasn't lying. So, and that's some of the guys. And then, I got older, and, I'm a recovered alcoholic, and, I've battled addiction, alcoholism, and drug addiction. And getting into recovery is where I met some of the most influential people in my life that I still talk to on a regular basis today. People who live by the word of God through recovery. And which has greatly impacted me and really expanded my worldview of myself, humanity, my place in this world, and where God sits for me, where I sit in God's eyes. And I'm not perfect, but I work hard at it every day. And through these people I've met, they're just people I met here and there that caught my eye, that I admired. These manly men who didn't make excuses, who got up and did shit no matter what, didn't complain. So it's, I'm 48. So, I've got 48 years of different life experiences and a lot of different directions. Trust me, y'all don't even know the surface of it. But that's, so they are integral points in my life where there's some people I might have met and hung out with for a night that just left an impression on me. Something about their character, something about the charisma, the confidence, the poise, the posture that just stuck with me. And then it's through trial and error too, Henry, where I began to do things where I've how do I say that? Where I've kind of influenced myself. That I just know you get to a certain point through this process and through this growth where you realize you really have what it takes. It just takes somebody, like think of yourself like a hard-boiled egg. Take somebody to crack that shell and start peeling a little bit for you. Like you see a chicken break out of the shell. It takes a little help. They got to peck out, and then they can really break out and see what's really going on. And that's kind of how it's unfolded for me. That my eyes open. I had a different perception. It's God first for me, and that was influenced by somebody in recovery. And that has been the position that has served me best. And I say that with all sincerity, that has been a position that served me best. God first, and I never go wrong. Even when it doesn't seem right, it's not wrong. And I always see after the fact how things worked out just how they were supposed to. And like, I'm not totally dissing my dad. My dad taught me a lot about work ethic. And there's one thing in common that these men that have had an impact, and it's this one guy I met through a friend of mine's girlfriend, had his dad. He was a Marine. You don't ever say former Marines. They're Marines until they die. And he was very wealthy, just this big barrel-chested, pearly tooth, tall ass, hard fucking Marine. But he's very successful. He owned barges. We live in a big shipping area out here in New Orleans, the ports and all the waterways. And he owned barges. And this dude would make about $12,000 a day. And I, at the time, was a high school dropout, an 8th grade education, in and out of jail. Me and this dude, James, used to run together, who was from a well-to-do family. This is how he went to private school, and he met her through one of the events, and we all lived in the same town. Pretty girl. and the family accepted me. And the dad told the daughter, and the friend of mine, James, like, bring that guy back with you now. I like that kid. I like that. And that was life changing for me to have somebody of this stature who had everything: a hot ass wife, 2 kids, nice house, nice car. This dude could grill a steak. That's who taught me how to grill steak, as a matter of fact. Usually somebody who would look down on me or not want me around their family. This dude embraced me and spoke life into me to tell me, you can change this whenever you're ready, but you got to want to do it. And he always had me, he spoke this reassurance into me that it's going to be fine and one day it's going to be all right. So it's men like that also, Henry. And what happens is, the years going by, the more I began to evolve, the more of a relationship I formed with God. Naturally, as you start growing and becoming more aware of yourself and what really matters, as you begin to grow, you start to shed. You shed skin. You shed old ideas. You shed old prejudices. You start to shed friends, your social circle. People start dropping off, family. Because when you're self-aware and you're driven and self-aware, I hate to tell you all this, but I don't hate to tell you because it only seems bad on the surface when you say it, but it's a lonely life. There's not many people out there who think like that. And that's why you got to dare to be that motherfucker who does and will, and you will reap the rewards for it. I can't even begin to even tell you, to describe to you how rewarding it is to follow your innermost higher self up in life. And there's so many people that are so underneath and at such a low vibrational frequency who are so plugged into the mainstream that they think you're crazy. And once you sit in where I'm at, you could see who's crazy. Because what materializes for these people? This Groundhog Day existence. Every day, nothing changes, nothing gets better, nothing gets worse. Nothing gets better, nothing gets worse. It's the comfort zone. And a comfort zone is where men go to die, slowly. That's like a self-imposed prison. And if you're okay with that, you're okay with that. No judgment. But that's not, ever would have, and never has and never will work for me. I can't see it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't want to be the same person I am tonight 5 years from now, because I'm not the same motherfucker I was 5 years ago and 5 years before that. And the older I get, the more I realize, the less I know. And that's what keeps me so open to learning and going and getting it. We don't realize how limited we are by our own thinking and our own belief system and our own subconscious. And then we surround ourselves with people that confirm. It's called you create this echo chamber of people just like you. So everybody can reassure everybody that, yeah, you good, you good, you good. Because I'm good, you good. And if you good, yeah, I'm good, you good. Yeah, we good, we good. Because we're all buying each other's bullshit and give each other excuses. But this is why I encourage, back to the original point, building a tribe. Oh, wait up, look. I didn't see Cage Beast's comment. How did I miss that? So I think you get my point, Henry. And then when the time came and I did discover the online community, the men's help space, I developed a lot of friends. I have more friends on internet than I do in real life. No bullshit. Great guys. I can call them anytime, day or night. Thank you, sir. Solid response, like hearing from a friend. Thank you, brother. And you're all hearing it from a friend. That's what we're here for. That's what we all here on this channel for. And it's only going to get bigger and better and get more in depth. Hopefully you're jumping at Patreon when I open it. And you can really put the pen to paper and nose to the grindstone and get some shit done, and you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll be able to live it. And you know the beautiful thing about all this is all these people who come in and watch and pursue these channels and mine, that already tells me you're searching for answers. You're one of the chosen few. You know how many people out there that dismiss channels like these? Oh, that's stupid. Oh, I know this. I know. It's just so full of ego. They don't even know how much of a jackass they're being by being so closed-minded, thinking they got it all figured out and all under control. But we're not going to get into that. But thank you, Henry. You're a loyal, genuine guy. And I'm proud to have you as one of my subscribers in here regularly. Cage Beast, could you offer any advice for men dating men relation? I'm a gay man who cares for traditional values. I'm proud of our masculinity. I love being outdoors and lifting weights. Well, it's gay relationships are no different. Then there's got to be a masculine and a feminine dynamic. I can't see your face real good, but it looks like you're bearded up jack dude. I'd be safe to say you're the top. You're the power guy in the relationship, the masculine. And for any romantic relationship to exist and evolve, and stay a happy, loving, fun, mature relationship, there's got to be the important things. Obviously, two mentally healthy people, at least on the way to being mentally. Nobody's ever going to be mentally and emotionally 100%, 1000%, 365, 24/7, mentally and emotionally stable, upright people. Life will just not allow that. You can be well informed, know yourself very well, having mastered certain things in certain areas of your life, know what being centered and strong looks like. And you're still going to be, you're still going to get knocked off. I consider myself dude, I can handle some pressure. I can go, man, I don't even know how to explain it. Just like, think of it as your A game, right? You're not going to be able to maintain your A game all the time. And this is why you want to have it's important to have self-awareness. And it's also important to have a lover who has some of the same attributes and qualities of that, some degree of awareness and mental and emotional stability and maturity. Because any logical person can understand you can't maintain that high level of get your shit together 24/7, 365. There's going to be extenuating circumstances that push you one way or the other a little bit. I'll give you an example. At the beginning of this year, I had bitten off way more than I could chew. And it got the best of me. I committed to too many different things, deadlines, wasn't sleeping. I wasn't able to work out and go to jiu-jitsu regularly, my physical outlets that I need. For people like me, aggressive men, I need an outlet. I need to be able to go exert myself physically, mentally, on the phone with people. Literally from the time I got up to the time I went to bed every single day. And this is like 2 months. And it wore me down to the point where I had no resistance to even being physically. I'd gotten really sick. I had strep throat that would have crippled a fucking rhinoceros. Mentally and emotionally, I couldn't keep it together. I was stressed, and I started coming unraveled a little bit. But that's just my ego, which is still something we all going to have to deal with. And not all ego is bad. We ain't going to get into that. Telling me that I can do it because you can handle it. I can do it because you can handle it. And that's when, and this is why it's so important that you do the work necessary and tend to yourself, because there's going to be a certain point where that's going to be tested and pushed. And you're going to fall off a little bit. You're not going to be on your A game. You're going to be less attentive with your girl. You're going to be a little shorter than you normally are when she goes to start her little shit test and whatnot. And you're going to act out of character. You're going to come across a little feminine because you're getting pissy. She's going to lose a little respect. A little attraction is going to drop. And you're going to take it personal. And so you can't be like that all the time. But the point is to develop these characteristics to where your default is that guy. Strong, centered, fully integrated masculine man. What comes along with that is having somebody who's healthy, soft, fully integrated feminine woman or guy, if you're gay. And what that allows is the necessary polarity. Sexual polarity is necessary. It's a must. Otherwise, you look at these relationships as dead bedrooms. Next time you're out and about in public, go look at the couples with the kind of puffy faced dude, can't dress, fucking fat, and a wife with the short hair and the look on her face. You think they fucking? No. There's no polarity between them. Polarity is necessary for sexual tension. And if you're acting like a girl, that's not very polarizing to a feminine woman. And if she's acting like a fucking man, that's not very polarizing to a masculine man. And like for dating, I mean, you got to have some kind of standard set. You got to have some, what I recommend, and I've done this, is write a list of your ideal person. Like literally, start with the characteristics: height, weight, eye color, the communicators, are they givers, like dark hair, dark skin, non-smoker, casual drinker, adventurous palate, semi-athletic, likes outdoors, is a God-fearing, like get and write a damn detailed as you possibly can make it to what that ideal person would look like. And this is your way of bringing that into fruition. This is your part in materializing this through the universe. Because once you have a clear outcome, a clear, tangible outcome, then you'll start notice things starting to change, kind of set these things starting to line up. And that way, you already have a clear, defined outcome of who your ideal person is, ideal woman or man. And that way, when you're dating, now look, I ran around for a little while. I did. I lived a very hedonistic lifestyle for a little while. I went and run and did it. I went and hoed around. So what? But what I started noticing is with this clear, concise outcome, this clear, concise, ideal person, what I started seeing is I could spot the characteristics that were there or not there pretty quick. So I didn't really waste too much time. Like if one major, because you also got to have the list of the ideal and a list of things that you are non-negotiables. Smokers, no. Certain professions with women, loud and obnoxious. Like, no, I don't want that. I've been with loud and obnoxious women. There's nothing pleasant about that. They're loud, they're obnoxious, obviously. They make a scene. They always got to be the center of attention. It's always a fucking fight about the dumbest shit. It's always a disagreement. Like, no way. No way. So I would get on dates with these women and you could see immediately like, oh, now I'm obnoxious. Never going to see her again. So you're able to start weeding people out rather than dating, getting to these 1-2 month flings and then these things, ignoring the red flags. Because, in the beginning, we can turn them red flags green real easy. Ignoring the red flags, and just realize that you get to a point, okay, this is definitely not going to work. It's over. So yeah, that's one way to eliminate a bunch of time wasters and things that do not things that do not, and people who do not align with what you want and where you're going. But and being traditional is, if you're traditional, that means you're the masculine in the relationship, and it's necessary that you keep that polarizing gap, because obviously your opposite is going to attract when it comes to that polarity. So as you maintain in the masculine core in the relationship, you need to have somebody who's submissive. And I'm not saying he's got to be one of these twinks, like these dainty ass flamboyant gay dudes, but you got to have a softer, submissive, feminine side that's actually attractive to a strong masculine man. Like, guys, one of my biggest no's is lawyers. Oh God, and women are intolerable. Lawyers, oh Jesus, the most manliest women. God. But and then you say you love outdoors, love being outdoors and lifting weights. I'm not saying you have to find somebody who loves doing that, but they got to love that you do that. And that's usually, people say you got to have all these things in common. No, you don't. There's got to be polarization, and the things that need to be common are your core values and beliefs. Money, future, children, family. That's what's important. Do you like fucking them? Can you speak to them without fucking them and still enjoy their company? And is there a future there? Are we going to agree when it comes to money? Are we going to agree when it comes to raising children? Are we going to agree to it what family looks like? Are we going to agree that there's a traditional bond here where I'm the man and you're the woman in the relationship? So that's good. I hope that answered your question, Beast. Let's go to Triple Aces. How important is personal hygiene, grooming, and skincare when it comes to being a high-value man? I believe it shows that someone is disciplined and can carry over into other aspects of life. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I know my eyebrows are getting a little squirrely. I just haven't had time to get them trimmed up. And I have my little trimmer, but cannot find the damn thing. I have this thing with a guard in it. But yeah, you can ask my son. I preach hygiene. And yes, not only shows that someone is disciplined, it shows you have self-respect. See, a lot of what people don't realize is how important your image that you project is. Now, you go walk in someplace. Just think in terms of walking into a room. Now, I'm not even talking about being noticed by just women, attracting women, or think about the times you've been in a room or a place. They got some frumpy ass fucking guy with baggy jean shorts, white socks, jacked up tennis shoes, a shirt that fits like a shower curtain, hair all out of place and unkept, stubble, old jacked up looking teeth, dirty fingernails, posture all slumped over. What is that? What if that guy came into a job interview? Like, would he really be a viable candidate? Unless they were just absolutely desperate and he's the only person that showed up for the whole job interview. Would look at that as a man to man. What do you think about that guy? Would you take him seriously? Does he seem like he would be of any sort of threat to you? Is there anything you would want to hear about what he has to say? Remember, he's out of shape, fat. Maybe not even fat, maybe just skinny fat. Got one of those little Indian bellies. And no muscle tone, no sense of style. Dude smells like a bag of fucking ass. Or maybe some Axe body spray, cheap ass cologne. How can this guy be taken seriously? And do you honestly think any woman's going to want to? Like, those men are invisible to women. Like, they literally do not show up. A woman turns and looks at the room, she don't even see that. Think about what you would look like to your kids. How are you representing your family? Do you think your kids would be proud to call you their dad? And I know kids go through a phase where they don't want to be around their parents. I have a son, I've been there. So think about that. What are you going to offer the world looking like that? What does that say about you? If I see that, that immediately tells me this guy's got zero self-respect, zero self-esteem. He has no fucking intelligence. I'm not saying he couldn't be like IQ smart, but he's got no self-awareness and he just doesn't give a fuck. And nobody's been in his life to tell him otherwise. So you know what that means? You can't tell him what to do. Because all this time he's gotten through life and nobody's told him you look like a 6 foot shit stacked 6 foot high. Nobody's told him that. I'm going to tell you, clean yourself up, man. Have a little respect for yourself. So where that comes in with the hygiene and grooming is that, and skincare, your skincare can be, sometimes you're going to have some genetic component, but that starts on the inside with your gut and the stuff you're eating. You're drinking a lot of water, good high protein diet, clean, organic as much as possible, staying off the sugar. I'm not off the sugar, but I don't eat it all the time. I have guilty pleasures. I ate some pralines today. If y'all don't know what that is, look it up. It's a specialty homemade candy. It's basically sugar and pecans. Delicious. And they were like this big. I ate 2 of them. So what? I went to gym yesterday and cranked out a workout. Went to jiu-jitsu for an hour and a half. I didn't get pushed too hard there because I'm a little dinged up. But, I get up and go to work. I eat focus mainly on a high protein diet. Drink a lot of water. Hit my macros every day. Work out. Jiu-jitsu. So yeah, a lot of that stuff, especially your skin and longevity in your skin, that has to do with your diet, your nutrition, your intake. Grooming, body composition. See, and I like how you put in that high value man. I'm still not sure what that means. It sounds a little subjective to me. I've been hearing it thrown around a lot. You'd be a high value man. What does that mean? That could mean one thing from one guy to the next. He might see his value as a strong father who supports his family and loves his kids and is good at his job and is honest and trustworthy. And another guy might think of that as a millionaire. Like he's got to be a millionaire to be high value. So that's subjective, but we can go with it. So whatever your view, your perspective of what a high value man is, I'm sure this would be included. Think about when you see a guy you definitely tell he works out, wears clothes that fit him good, don't fit him like fucking child curtains, like American clothes, frumpy ass shit, has a European type style, has a groomed beard, fly ass haircut that's well kept, nice teeth. You ain't even got to be perfect, but nice. You can tell the guy gets up and brushes them and picks them. No. I got what you were saying. I went into that high value rant. That wasn't to point that out. But yes, I get it. I agree. Guy who's got his style on, nice posture, broad shoulders, got the golden triangle. I mean, not the golden triangle, the golden ratio. The golden triangle is a place in East Asia where they produce heroin. The golden ratio, shoulders to waist, got that V. You got a nice athletic butt, proportional legs, nice, decent looking arms. I don't have big arms by any means. I really don't, but they're proportional to my body and they're not skinny or frumpy and fat. And you just wear what you bring and what you carry with confidence and assuredness. Like you unapologetically walk into a room and you're looking around saying, who's in my room? Who's in here? And that's the vibe you give off. And then when people see a guy who takes care of himself physically, grooming, hygiene, get some good cologne, spend a couple of fucking $100 and get some expensive cologne. You only need one. I ain't giving y'all mine. I don't want everybody wearing it. I'm the only person I've never ever known to wear this cologne that I know. But there's plenty out there. Get you some good cologne that smells good. It doesn't smell like sweet ass or some cheap soapy shit. And that everybody else, every other dude in the nightclub smells like, because they got a lot of that shit too. Learn how to get your clothes tailored. Go get a nice shirt that really looks good on you, but it's a little loose in the waist maybe. This part doesn't fit right. And it's too far down or too far up, and the collar. Go learn how to get your clothes and take them to a tailor. Go get them custom fitted to you. Get your jeans custom fit. It doesn't cost that much. You can actually go get clothes from TJ Maxx and get them tailored. And you're still making out going to the big brand stores. If you got the money, go get the real brand. Go to the place. I can't make sense of doing that. I just don't. Because I'm going to look good no matter what I put on. And, you got your hair fixed, correct posture, chin up, chest out, shoulders back a little bit. Just that relaxed lean, that glide walk. It says you're here to stay. You got a physique. And what that does subconsciously and instinctually tells people, this guy knows. This guy knows his value. This guy cares about himself. This guy respects himself. Because they know, and this all happens in an instant, that they know everything it takes to maintain a badass body, to make yourself a formidable man. They already know. And immediately think of nutrition, commitment, discipline, perseverance, like all these great implications that come with looking good. That's implied from the get-go. And then, so with the opposite sex, what that signals is, and this is a real important one, that golden ratio. Nothing like a fucking wide, thick back, taper down to a waist, barrel chest, nice shoulders, solid forearms. You fry women's brains, like especially with a six pack. Oh, you short circuit women's brains. They don't even know how to process that. They can't even get past their own conscious thought before it shoots them in the lizard brain. Like, holy fuck, this guy can make strong babies and protect us. You walk into a job interview, you're going to automatically be looked at and taken seriously. Eye contact, firm handshake, well-groomed nails. Mine stay short because of jiu-jitsu. Silver era bodybuilders nailed the golden ratio look. Yeah, and it's really not that hard. It's really not. If you just keep, like when I do chest, I do front back. It's usually rear delt fly or single arm row. You just get the antagonist and the protagonist. So if I'm doing a push, I'm going to do a pull. So your chest don't go like that and your back don't go like that. You keep it. So instead of going like this or this, like curving in or curving out, it grows thick. Your chest gets thick, your back gets thick, then it goes thick and wide. You do your rear delts. Hit them triceps. Get them traps here, some high pulls, traps, high pulls and shrugs. Do that 2 times a week. Pops right out. Don't forget legs. So yeah, and so I guess to answer the question in short version of, it's very important, Ace. And it's something I've instilled in my own son, and any guy who works with me will understand that not only are you going to get a plethora of other information and things to take with them in life to succeed and level up. You're going to understand this very well. We don't just go over, it's not a one-dimensional life. There's a many complex parts and pieces that move together that really put you together as this sophisticated, fully integrated man. And this is one of the things, your outward appearance and the way you carry yourself. That's a make or break thing. I mean, people don't want to listen. Damn. Look, you want to get ahead in life these days? You want to be at the head of the pack? 80-20 is the ratio. 80% of the time, you're taking good care of yourself, eating the right shit, doing all the right things. 20%, you're fucking off, eating junk, maybe drinking. Keep the drinking to a minimum. I don't encourage it. I'm not saying I shame it or demonize it for everybody. And go to the gym minimum 3 days a week. Hit a serious workout, though. Get a high protein diet going. And start looking into something that you can pursue as a side business, something that you really are driven to do, something that just you've always enjoyed doing, that just appeals to you, that you could spend hours on looking into and researching and listening to and reading and tinkering with. Find a way to monetize that and slowly work a way into making that your primary source of income as you learn other streams. And just by working out, you'll put yourself in the top 20% of men. You already are a standout candidate. You already stand above. It's never been a better time for men to stick out and put themselves above than right now. You go look at the condition of men and masculinity in this country right now. That's it. Just do that simple thing. And if you got to hire a trainer for a little while, I hired a trainer years ago, learned a lot, then I started training. After I got my shit down pat. I may not know all the science of it, like kinesiology, like a good friend of mine knows. But if you want to get sexy, I can show you how to do that. I've done it. Helped quite a few people. Yeah, I was just saying, I hear that high value thing thrown around a lot. And it's another one of those container words that they use to bottle men up with. Men and women alike use it. I want a high value man. Like, what is a high value man? Oh, he makes $500,000 a year and has a 12-inch cock and he's 6'3", and like they're describing like 0.2% of the world. So they don't know what they're saying. It's such a, but yeah, I like the way you it's perceived by the opposite gender. And there you go. That's just a little scratch on the surface of what that looks like. Well, look, we're wrapping it up. It's an hour and 17 minutes. That went by fast. Man, thank you, everybody. Ace, Henry, Cage Beast, Venator, as always. Thor dropping in. Man, I'm going to have him on. Y'all going to like him. Thank you, everybody, for coming in and supporting the channel. If you didn't remember to hit that like button, thank you for all the participation and the activity in the chat tonight. I had a great time. I hope I was able to help some of y'all and answer some questions. And so next weekend, we're going to pick up same time, same night, Wednesday night. We're going to have, I guess it was supposed to be the night Rickey died. And I guess after that, I'm going to work on getting Thor on here. And also, if I can get some feedback in my Instagram, I'll start doing these Q&As aside from having like just these general discussion or topic discussions in between having guests. If y'all really like them and benefit from them, I'd love to do that. But I'm not going to do it for, 2-3 people. Thank you, Venator. And, but yeah, I'd love to do that. So leave me in the comments or hit me up on Instagram. If you don't know me on Instagram, go follow me there at Proud Masculine. Remember, hit that like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's see. I like the one on Q&As. Yeah, me too. Kind of got a thing for it. Good. Maybe we'll do some more. I know what you meant. Well, good. And thank you again, Cage Beast, for being in here tonight. And I hope we was able to answer your question. So, yeah, thank you, everybody, again. Remember Patreon. I wanted to mention that again before we got off. The Patreon is coming. I need to see at least 10. I need at least 10 people that'll commit to the group before I go through the trouble of doing that, because this is going to be a very exclusive, interactive, private group. Minimum 10. I don't think I want to go over 30 or 40, because then it's going to kind of get diluted, and you're not going to get as much as you can. But besides me, the stuff you're learning there, I want y'all bouncing the shit off of each other. But I need at least 10. And it's close. It's close. I've gotten a few commits already. I'm just waiting on to fill up those spots, and we'll have that up and running full steam ahead. And if you want help with anything that you've heard about tonight, book me for a one-on-one. We'll get deep into the weeds about what it is you need answered and some direction you need. Nothing wrong with having a coach and getting some guidance. I still have coaches. I have mentors and coaches still do, for people that are outside, that have been through what I'm going through and are higher up in the realms or the areas that I'm not caught up with yet. So there's nothing wrong with that. Invest in yourself, get some clear, concise direction forward, save yourself some time, and invest that time that you're saving into something else that makes your life better. That's all I can tell you. And thank y'all again. I'll see y'all next week. Yeah, thank you, Venator. Sub on the way out, hit that notification bell. And we'll see y'all next week.